I don't usually remember my dreams. Most of the time, I wake up, stare at the ceiling for a few seconds, and whatever I was dreaming about is gone. But 3 nights ago, I had a dream don't forget because in that dream, I found a door. And yesterday, I found the same door in my school. The dream started in a hallway. I don't know what hallway it was. It didn't look like my school. It didn't look like my house doors, or actually didn't like means I don't didn't look like anywhere I had ever been. It was just a very long hallway. There were no windows, no lights, just small yellow bulbs hanging from the ceiling, and it was completely silent. I remember walking. I don't know where I was going. I just knew I had to keep moving. Then I saw it. A door right in the middle of the hallway. Dark brown, old. There were scratches around the handle, and for some reason I felt like I had seen it before. I walked closer. I reached for the handle, and just before I touched it, someone whispered my name. I turned around. Nobody was there. I looked down the hallway, nothing. Then I looked at the door. The handle was moving, like someone was trying to open it from the other side. I stepped backward and then I woke up. It was 3:17 in the morning. I remember looking at the clock right in front of my eyes. I was confused, but I didn't think much about it. I drank some water, went back to sleep, and by morning, the dream was already starting to feel stupid. You know how dreams are. They feel real while you are inside them, and when you wake up and think, why was even I scared of that? Why was it all happening like this? So I forget about it. At least I thought I did. The next day, I reached school a little earlier than usual. I was walking down the second floor as my class was in the third floor, so I was just passing through and then I stopped. There was a door at the end of the hallway, dark brown old, scratched around the handle exactly like the one in my dream. For a few seconds I couldn't move. I just stared at it. There were students walking around me. Someone was laughing, someone was running down the stairs, a teacher walked past me carrying a pile of books. Everything was normal, but that door wasn't. I walked toward it. There was a small metal plate on it. 309. I touched the handle, locked. I asked one of my friends who was just passing from there. He looked at me. He looked at the door. That I asked, uh, that means I asked that what is this all about? He said that's been locked forever. Why? Probably a storage room of the school or any like waste or like exam papers. You can think about like this. Oh, okay. And I asked, have you ever been inside? Nah, I have never been inside. Then he walked away. He he was just seeing like me, like very strangely that I did something. Then I looked at the door and suddenly I remembered something from my dream. The door in my dream didn't have a number. That night I dreamed about it again. This time I was standing directly in front of the door, but something had changed. There were photographs on the walls, hundreds of them, old photographs, students, teachers, school functions, Class pictures. I started walking past them. Then I noticed one photograph had been turned upside down. I reached toward it and I woke up. 3:17 again? Exactly 3:17. I started at the clock for a very long time. Oh, then I checked my phone. Nothing, no missed notification, no messages. So I went back to sleep. But the next morning, I started looking for room 309. I went to the library. I searched through old magazines, old photographs, old records, anything that mentioned the room. After almost an hour, I found something, an old school magazine. The cover was damaged, the pages were yellow, and somewhere in the middle was a photograph. A class photograph of class 9B. The year was 2008. I counted the students, 28. Then I looked at the caption. It said 29 students of class 9B. I counted again, 28. Then I noticed someone standing at the very back. A boy. His face was scratched out, not blurry, not hidden. Someone had deliberately scratched his face away. I turned the page cover. Nothing. I went back to the photograph, and that's when I noticed something. Behind the students was a door, dark brown, old, with scratches around the handle. Room 309. I went back upstairs. I found the door. I stood in front of it, and for some reason, I felt like it was waiting for me. I don't know how else to explain it. I reached for the handle. Then I stopped. I don't know why. Maybe I was scared. Maybe I was just being stupid. But I took my phone instead. I took a photograph of that pic. The screen went black for about 5 seconds. Then it came back. The photograph I had just taken was gone. But there was another photograph in my gallery. One that I haven't taken. It showed the hallway. The same hallway, except the photograph had been taken from inside room 309. I could see the door from the other side. I could see myself standing outside it. That night I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about the photograph. At 3:16 I was sitting on my bed watching the clock tick tock tick tock. 3:17 nothing happened. 3:18 nothing. 3:19 nothing. I almost laughed. Maybe I was just like I was imagining everything. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe the photograph was some weird glitch. Then I heard something. Three knocks. Not on my bedroom door, not on the window. They came from inside my room. Knock, knock, knock. I turned around, nothing. Then I noticed my cupboard. Its door was slightly open. I knew I had closed it. I walked toward it. Inside was a folded piece of paper. I opened it. There was one sentence. Only one. You opened it in the dream. Don't open it here. I stared at the handwriting. I knew that handwriting because it was mine. The next morning I went to school early. I didn't tell anybody. I went straight to the second floor. The corridor was empty. The room 309 was still there. I stood in front of it. I don't know why I was standing for these days, but 5 minutes, maybe 10, I don't know. I heard footsteps behind me. Slow footsteps. I turned around. Nobody. The footsteps stopped. I looked at the door. The handle moved. Just slightly, someone was turning it from the other side. I stepped backward. The handle stopped. Then I heard a voice very quietly behind the doors. Finally, I can't move anymore else. The voice said, "You are late." I knew that voice because it sounded exactly like mine. I ran, I didn't look back, I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell my teachers, and for the next few days nothing happened. Then one morning, 309 was gone. There was just a wall, no door, no number, nothing. I started convincing myself that maybe I had imagined everything. Maybe it really had a dream. Until last night, I was cleaning my school bag. I found an old photograph inside the same class 9B photograph. 28 students, one boy at the back, face scratched. I turned the photograph over. There was writing on the back, a date, 23rd August 2026. Today's date? And underneath it four words, "This time don't fake." I looked at the photograph again. The boy was at the back was gone. He was now standing in the middle of the group, and his face wasn't scratched out anymore. I knew that face. You know whose? It was me. My phone buzzed. One new message. No name, no number, just four words. "Look behind you." I didn't. I still haven't. Recording this instead because there's something I haven't told you, something I didn't understand till now. The first time I dreamed about that hallway, I thought I was standing outside the room 309, but I wasn't. I was standing inside the room. The hallway was on the other side of the door, and suddenly I understand why the voice told me you are late, because maybe I wasn't discovering room 309, maybe room 309 was waiting for me to remember it. So if you ever dream about a door you have never seen before but somehow feel like you have known your entire life, don't open it, because maybe dreams aren't places we visit, maybe sometimes they are places that remember us. And if you wake exactly 3:17, don't look behind. And hopefully you love this wonderful story. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you.